Well, hi there. It's May 28th, the end of May, just before the Memorial Day weekend, or at the very beginning of the Memorial Day weekend. And I guess, will serve as the Mitch Schneider's World blog post for June. Um, it's interesting in the respect that I'm always wondering whether something belongs here on MitchSchneidersWorld.com or whether it really would be more appropriate to put it on MisfireBook.com. And I'm trying to get that worked out in my own mind, and not very successfully, I'm afraid, um, because both parts of my life are so entangled, uh, one with the other. But it was interesting while I was writing Misfire. If you've read it, you've already figured that out. It was really important to me to include um, the notion that all of us have the idea of this work-life balance convoluted in our own minds. It's backwards. It's upside down. I really believe with a perfect faith that it really should be life-work balance if we're going to be serious about preserving what's important to us, our families, our relationships, um, which always seems to take a second place to what goes on at the shop, at work, whatever that may mean for you, whatever it is that you do. And the more I thought about after, it's been a while since the book has been published, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized that the attention that we pay to our responsibilities and relationships outside of work are every bit as important, perhaps even more important than our relationships with the numbers that we have at work. At work, we've broken these things down into key performance indicators, into metrics regarding almost every aspect of professional life, um, measuring minutes and hours, dollars and cents, and just about every aspect of work. There are key performance indicators, metrics in business. In the automotive repair shop environment, there are certainly easily more than 50 that you can keep track of, and that'll make a difference if you keep track of them. You can manage what you measure, and all these key performance indicators are measurements. The problem that we have in life is that I don't know that anybody's ever taken the time or expended the energy to create a set of life metrics, a set of measurement metrics for all the important things that occur in our lives that we tend to ignore or put aside until we have time to get them done. Mostly things that are sacrificed, at the altar of business success. Um, we don't have any set of metrics that measures how close or far away we are from accomplishing whatever these metrics should be. And I'm not suggesting that I'm smart enough to have figured all of this out on my own, because realistically, I'm not. It's not my area of expertise, but it is something that I'm aware of, and that I've been trying to adjust to, perhaps even more now that I'm retired than I was when I was at work, because I want to save others from making the same mistakes that I've made. So, I mean, what would those life metrics be? How would you break that down? I think they'd start out with, important relationships that we have with others. How much time do you spend staying in contact with the close relationships you have in your life with your friends? Um, Leslie and I just got back from an hour and 20-minute walk. Um, we make a point of trying to walk every day. When we walk, we have the opportunity to talk about things that we just never take the time to talk about at home. That time is invaluable. It's precious. It's time that I cherish. perhaps even more than most people, because I realize I could have been denied that time very easily. That I'm very, very lucky to be not only alive, but able to walk, for an hour and 20 minutes, which wouldn't have been so obvious or so certain not all that long ago. So I think, you can certainly say, we could develop a whole set of metrics about how many minutes or hours it's appropriate to spend with your partner, your wife, your significant other, your husband, whoever, how many minutes or hours it's appropriate to spend with your kids. And that goes for adult children, as well as it goes for small children. I mean, the relationships you develop with your kids when you're small certainly flow into the rest of your life, and they're critically important. I think they're critically important. I know how important they are to me personally. The relationship that Leslie and I have with our kids. I also think they might be, equally as important to them. It certainly would seem so through my illness and the way they acted and the love and care and that I got from our family in that respect. So certainly we can break down those into time with family and friends, time with friends, time with kids, and other relationships, church, service groups. You can go down a whole list of things. Are you making time in your life for all of those important relationships? And is it appropriate to go ahead and formalize the relationship you have at that time? Then I think it would be equally as important to create a set of life metrics for yourself, for the important things that you have to do for you. Like what? Well, like physical conditioning. It's been critically important to me to regain my strength, both from a medical standpoint, needing to do that for my recovery, but it's also been incredibly important for me to do that mentally, so that I feel good about myself again, so that I can walk up a flight of steps without having to stop halfway up, or worse yet, being worried that I wouldn't make it all the way. So, how much time do you devote? How much time have you set aside for, a walk with your wife or your significant other? How much time have you set out to get on the Peloton or a stationary bike or an elliptical or a treadmill to work on physical conditioning, work on your health from that respect? How many minutes do you spend being mindful of all the wonderful, incredible, beautiful, delightful things that surround you that we rarely take the time to consider? How much time do you meditate? How much time do you spend in seated meditating, guided meditation while lying down? How many minutes a day do you spend, involved in moving meditation, in yoga or in Tai Chi or martial arts training or any one of a number of other disciplines? The bottom line is that we've broken down the art of business management into all of these key performance metrics that we have to measure and monitor while we're in business. And we haven't taken the same amount of care in developing a set of life metrics that will work for us in order to enrich our lives and certainly make them more meaningful. So perhaps that's something to think about on the Memorial Day weekend when you have some extra time. Are you devoting enough time to yourself? Are you devoting enough time to your family? Are you going to make sure that when you climb the ladder of success, your wife and your kids, or your husband and your kids, or the important people in your life, whoever they might be, are right there on the same roof with you, or are they, 2 buildings down on another roof? Have you lost contact with them to the point where those relationships are in jeopardy? It shouldn't have to take a life-threatening experience, a catastrophic illness, or something like a stem cell bone marrow transplant to help you engage in consideration of all of these things. You can do that without finding yourself in a hospital, for a month and then in isolation for another couple of years, or another year or two. I would be really interested in what you think those life metrics should be. I'd really like to go ahead and identify them, and I'd like to codify them if I could. So if you're willing, share what you think life metrics should be and associate times with them. I spend, when I was recovering from the stem cell bone marrow transplant, it was not unusual for me to spend a half an hour to an hour every day in meditation, guided meditation. What kinds of time commitments do you think you can and should commit to taking care of the important relationships in your life, to taking care of yourself? Let me know. Send them to me. You can email them to me at mitch@mitchschneidersworld.com or mitch@misfirebook.com. It'd be interesting to compile all of them and then put them back together in another blog post. In the meantime, stay well and take care.